Hey guys, what's up? I'm going to talk about other dating methodologies because I'm well aware that outside of Dating Reboot, many of you are perhaps trying to supplement your dating knowledge and skills as you go through this season with material from other dating coaches, maybe reading other books, watching videos, and trying to kind of replicate that kind of stuff, especially when it comes to approaching women in person. So I'm just going to give you a little overview of some of the things out there, a little bit of their history, and how to best pick what works for you. Okay. First of all, I don't consider myself to be a dating coach. I'm 40 years old. I'm only doing this because I enjoy this. First of all, if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't even do it. Secondly, I really love seeing you guys win. You guys already know that. I love it when you guys just, a guy, I would say, loses his virginity, but has that first experience, gets a girlfriend, builds his confidence, realizes that actually he could be with amazing, beautiful women. He can gain intimacy. And even when guys, we are going to see guys in this group who are going to get married, they're going to meet the right person, they're going to start families, and all of it started with them ending their behavior with pornography and choosing to intentionally step into the dating season of their life. I started off without any game, and if you name a pickup artist out there, especially the old school guys. Bruce brought up a few people. Neil Strauss, Style was his name in the book The Game. Mystery from the Mystery Method. Juggler from Charisma Art. Some of you might have no idea what any of this is. This was way back in the day when pickup was a thing. Real Social Dynamics. All of this stuff. I was running game and trying to figure this out before all of this. Zan Perion, you name it. David Deida from Double Your Dating, way before all of this, as early as 2002, 2003, I was learning how to do this. There was a forum way back in the day, more than 20 years ago, called the So Suave Forum. And So Suave was where guys who were trying to learn the art of seduction met up, and there weren't any books about it. There wasn't anything back then. We were just trying to figure it out. Everything was just these pamphlets, and we would read them and go out, and occasionally people would have meetups, right? A lot of people who spent a lot of time on So Suave became instructors. And what we're seeing now is like the latest iteration of people who have learned from those instructors. My point is, in the early days, a lot of these instructors were replicating things like human social mating dynamics and game, right? Because that's all we had to learn from. So you would look at what do do to keep women in line? What do animals do in the mating world? They were looking at things like hypnosis and NLP and language patterns, and all of these things came together to form that version of game back in the day, guys figuring it out. Some of my good friends and people that I learned game with, like Ash Khan and Kino Suave, we met through the So Suave forum. I should break Kino's talk to you guys. And we did it all. NLP, language patterns, those years when I was approaching, all of those things. And I'll be honest with you, some crazy shit happened. None of it was sexual, but I had amazing interactions with women. I got women to do certain things, but ultimately none of these things resonated with me deeply because it was a lot of technique, and a lot of this was being practiced by guys who naturally did not have that ability. When you miss that boat, so to speak, in your teen years, you have to learn how to do it. Or you have to find somebody and get married, or you become one of these guys that sex or gets addicted to pornography. All of us there had missed the boat in some way or the other. Also within that group, there were a lot of naturals. That's guys who were either good looking or for some reason they just knew how to talk to women and have. And a lot of these guys also became instructors, making money, profiting off those of us who, didn't have that skill set and were learning. So over the years, making many mistakes, while I was still addicted to pornography, I began to start seeing the differences, especially when I started spending money that I didn't have to fly out to New York to work with like Charisma Arts, working with Mark Manson. I flew out to San Diego to work with a bunch of people that was more like of a conscious way of seducing women, like a lot of staring deeply into the eyes and owning your masculinity. I did a lot of stuff, guys. I tried so much stuff. And I began to tell the difference. Like I was like, okay, cool. Some guys here are natural. Some guys here are heavily reliant on gimmicks. Some guys think that they're running game, but actually they're just tall, good-looking guys, and women just go along with it. Some of them are straight up manipulative. And then over the years too, as I started ending my out of control behavior and diving deeper into the things that caused me to be attached to pornography and sex, I began to see in a lot of these other men who were in the pickup artist world some of their faults. I began to see that some of them were driven by trauma. I began to see that some of them, by learning all those techniques, never learned how to actually connect with women. Some of them saw women as something to be obtained or gotten, something to be used. Some of them saw women as bad or evil. And some of them were operating, when we go back to the trauma, from a hurt. Literally, somebody rejected them when they were younger, a woman laughing at them, and they were taking this out on women. I began to hear about the ways they were having sex with women and everything they were going through, right? And I also had my own issues. There was a time I was very angry at women and very frustrated that I wasn't able to have sex. And I used to hate on guys. God, I used to hate on so many men because women perceived them to be attractive. I had friends I would hang out with, and for some reason they could just smile at women and women will check them out. Then I started feeling that I was ugly and unworthy. And of course, I was the perfect person to be targeted by somebody who was teaching people to use all these techniques to talk to women. Long story short, gentlemen, when I met Mark Manson, it was a turning point because he had reached a level that I reached later on. I'll call it the level of enlightenment when it came to game. He had done all these things, but not only that, he had given up everything to learn game. Like all he had was a blog, postmasculine.com. I forgot what it was before that, where maybe it was called Practical Pickup before that. I think so, way back in the day. And he used to go out and approach, talk to women. He went to different countries and learned game. He did this all over the world. And then ultimately, he just let go of all those things, right? He tried it all, let go of everything, and came down to the raw confidence of who he was as a man, connecting with women intimately, how to be attractive, some very basic things. And then he taught that to me. And I went out there and I realized that I didn't need to use gimmicks. I didn't need to use pickup lines. I just needed, I hesitate to say this word about being myself, right? I needed to understand the game and I needed to understand human dynamics, social dynamics. But the truth was I'd already done so much work and I already did. But I needed to let go of the things that were getting in my way and start embracing the deeper things. What were the deeper things? The deeper things were when I approached a woman, actually being genuinely curious about the woman. Like when I approached somebody, to stop being in my head and thinking about myself. When I approach somebody, instead of talking and listening and paying attention to social norms, I broke social norms. And that's what many of us need to do. All the limiting beliefs need to be removed. And all those things that are inappropriate for us to do, we have to start doing them. Like screening a woman by touching her, holding her hand, right? talking about sex in a very comfortable way. All of these things are our conditioning. The truth is, many of us need to let go of that conditioning. And as we let go of it, we put ourselves in simple social situations. Social situation could be dancing. It could be having a conversation with a woman on campus or at work. It could be going for a date. Nothing fancy. The date could be in a wine bar. It could be in a lounge. It could be taking a walk in a park, whatever it is. But you put yourself in these situations and you constantly break those limits. Each time you're like, oh, should I say this to her? Should I hold her hand? Should I do this and do that? You just do that thing and you learn from it. This is what the naturals did that many of us who struggle with this didn't do. Some of us tried to do it when we were teenagers, or you may have tried it now at some point in your life for the first time, and we got a negative response. But our self-image was so poor that we translated that into something else. Like that, this is proof that I'm unworthy of being loved. This is proof that I'm an ugly guy. This is proof that women fucking hate me. This is proof that women are only go for certain type of guys. And then we don't continue. The guys who are good with women kept doing it. They kept doing it. Their desire to do it and the benefit of doing it was what far outweighed the consequences of getting rejected. And many of us ran away from rejection, myself included. For so many years, I was so busy running away from strong emotions that I gravitated towards all these different pickup techniques. Any technique that you guys bring here, right? Any like, oh, this is a gimmick, a line, all these really complicated sounding things. I've done them all and let them go. All of these things, ultimately, I don't care. I challenge you to bring them to me. I will break them down. I will break them down because behind each of them is a very simple human social thing that you can do. But you're afraid of the consequences of doing that thing. And so you gravitate to something else, right? You gravitate to something else. Whatever it is that you want to do, if you want to be the guy who can approach women on the streets, talk to them, get their number and all of that, here's the deal. And we're talking about day game now. Day game is not complicated. You don't have to be particularly good looking. And you can tell when you watch videos of dating coaches and all these guys doing that. You just have to be confident and willing to get rejected. You go out there, you get a number. Getting a number does not mean anything. It literally does not. It just means you got a number. A lot of the people that you watch online who do these approach videos are rarely showing you the rejections. Once in a while, they might do a compilation of rejections, but they're often showing you videos of the wins, right? The numbers are not that important. What we teach at Dating Reboot is, and this is why I don't consider myself to be a dating coach, is we teach you how to go straight to the root of it. Like, what are you doing when you're on a dating app? You're not there to chat. You're on the dating app to get the phone number or to get the IG. Why are you getting that? So you can meet the person in real life, so you can show who you are. And then from there, you can decide if there's enough intimacy to move forward with some sort of connection, sexual or otherwise. Or you can decide that this person isn't a good fit or this person would make a good friend. That's it. We find out, where does this person fit in my life? What's the connection like? What's the experience like? Right? But a lot of people get enamored by the area of their game where they're struggling with. So you see somebody that's doing a lot of approaches and you're just like, oh man, I got issues with approaching. That seems very scary. So you become this approach machine. Approach. Nothing's happening. When in reality, your approach would actually become better if you use this is an example. It's not going to be the case for everybody. When you could get on a dating app, approach more women, and actually have more real life experiences. Those experiences boost your self-image. You still have to deal with your fears and your limiting beliefs. But once you've overcome those things, you can now approach better. But most guys are like, no, I've got to focus on the approach because it looks cool. That's the thing I want. I want to be able to approach women and get their number. Is that what you really want? Is it? Do you really want to be able to approach women, right? And I know that it is what you want, but is it what you want ultimately that's going to make you happy? No, it's not what's going to make you happy. It's just one step of the process. What you actually want is you want to be able to have intimacy with women that you find attractive without much resistance. Fair? I think that's the case for most people, whether it's a woman you want to be with forever or it's a different type of women. So why are you getting stuck on one thing? This leads to choosing the type of game that works best for you, right? You have to decide this for yourself. I spent many years trying to be good at day game and approaching women. And even till today, and by the way, guys, I'm in a relationship, been in one for a very long time. Even till today, I don't like it. What don't I like? I don't really like being social with people in public because my personality is introverted. Can I be social? If people see me talking socially, I can take over a room. I can walk into a place and start acting like I'm the guy who owns it. I have literally walked into restaurants. I've been having such a good time that by the time I go from my table to the bathroom, I've made friends with so many people. How you doing? You enjoying your night here? Like, oh my God, the suit, is that this? Is that that? Oh my God, high five. Is that your wife? Beautiful, gorgeous. Like, I would do all these things if I wanted to, and many times I did it. I just didn't like it. I was like, fuck that. I don't like it. I prefer to mind my own business. And when necessary, I will become introverted. Do you actually like doing that? If you don't really like doing that and you want to learn it, go ahead and learn it, but don't make it the foundation of your game. Right? Then there's night game. Oh, I loved and I still love night game, right? I just love everything about it. I love the fact that and I loved too the fact that it was such a change in states, that everybody acted differently at a lounge, a bar, or a nightclub than they did in the daytime. Now I'm at an age where you will rarely see me in a nightclub, maybe once a year, and it's probably going to be in some high-end place for somebody's birthday or something. But I'll go to a nicer bar on occasion or wherever I go. I travel to different places in the world, so different night situations occur. But just the fact that people are different at nights and the energy is different, I've always enjoyed that. And personally, I'm what you would call, well, I define myself as a guy who enjoys the chase. I like a challenge, and I like a challenge that has very clear results. I love an adventure. And for me, there is adventure also involves a little bit of danger. It involves thrill. There's a challenge, and there's something that you can obtain from it. There's something that you can win at. Now, early on during my compulsive behavior, this fucked me up. Why? Because that was one of the things that was fueling my behavior. I had to learn how to control my behavior, and then I started actually enjoying it a lot more. But before that, a lot of guys who are thrill of the chase guys end up becoming sex addicts and just addicted to nightlife and that sort of thing. So also be careful if you're a guy who's struggling with a compulsive sexual behavior. But either way, if you're a night game guy, do your thing. But realize this, the lifespan of night game is very short, right? So as you get older, it doesn't work as well. What else is there? Then there's online game, which everybody should be into. Okay. The only exceptions would be guys who are still struggling with pornography, who are very, very triggered and quickly fall into that loop of the algorithm. And then you just go down the rabbit hole. If you're one of those guys, you may want to stay off that for a while till you can control your behavior and your impulses a little bit better. But everyone's online now, right? Learning how to run game on social media, learning how to run game on apps. This is a skill set that should be developed, but this is for those of you who are either very busy this is for those of you who you acknowledge that, like me, you're like, I don't want to be social. Like I've proven to myself that I can go out and get numbers and meet women and so on and so forth, but I just don't want to do it. Then focus more on online game. And if there are many guys who just like, I just don't like going out at night, more and more these days, right? Then focus on online game and build that up, right? But you gotta pick it. Pick what works for you. My point with all of this is, don't waste your energy following a methodology because there is some sort of emotional validation that you gain from it. Because your ego is going to be stroked because you can get a number from somebody, right? Don't do that. I would much rather, if you do follow somebody out there, you follow somebody who is not using gimmicks to do that, who tells you that you can just approach somebody and you can say, hey, this is absolutely random. I saw you from across the room and I thought that I just think you're really cute. I just wanted to come over and say hi. My name's JK. What's your name? Confident? Shake the hand. Cool. Conversation, right? It could be small talk, but the small talk doesn't matter at that point. Why? Because you already stated what you wanted. You weren't being a nice guy and asking about the weather, and you're like, I am talking to you for this reason. I am talking to you because I want something. I find you attractive. I want to connect with you. You either reject it or you don't. And that's what all of this comes down to, gentlemen. When you put aside whatever your emotional validation, need for emotional validation is, ultimately, it comes down to being a man. It comes down to your ability to take risks and go for the things you want in life. Every time that you sit down going like, oh, should I approach? Should I not approach? Should I use this gimmick? I think she's on the phone. That might be her boyfriend. XYZ. You are giving in to that obsolete biological wiring, that fear of being kicked out of the tribe, that fear of something bad will happen to me. I will get rejected, right? I will get ostracized. That's all that, what I said earlier in this video, that all of the reasons why we're doing all these things are because we were inundated with conditioning from culture, from society, from religion that said we should not do these things. These are not socially acceptable. As a man who wants to have unusual success in his dating life, and this applies to any other aspect of your life, brother, you must be willing to break those rules and take the risk and deal with the emotional consequence. And most guys who deal with a struggle with a problem with are afraid of the emotional consequence. You are always running away from strong emotions. All right. I could keep going off on this, but that's the message I wanted to share with you guys. For those of you who are like, oh, I want to try different methodologies. I want to try this and that. The Dating Reboot is going to teach you a method that doesn't have any frills. It is pure. It is what you need to do to get what you want. I don't care whether that thing is having multiple girlfriends in an ethical way who know about each other. I don't care whether it is you wants to find the woman of your dreams, a life partner, someone you're going to spend the rest of your life with. I don't care if it's like, bro, I just want to connect with a woman intimately and lose my virginity. I don't care whether it could be, I have a lot of trauma when it comes to women, and I'm not looking for. I'm not even sure about the intimacy thing because I've watched for so long. I don't know what the fuck that is, JK. I just want to be able to talk to women without feeling this strong emotion that comes up, this panic, this anxiety that comes up. The Dating Reboot program will get you there without anything complex or complicated. A very simple system that has been tested for decades, right? It comes from all this stuff you guys are looking at right now. You're reading. I've done it. I've experienced it. And on top of that, I have taken it, had all the experiences, and still ended up in a healthy relationship. So I think ultimately that's what most guys want. Most guys want to have the experience and end up in a certain place, right? So Would love to know you guys' thoughts if you finish the video. So drop your comments below. I appreciate y'all. Bye.